It is 5:09. We'll reconvene to open session. We do have an item to report out on. Um, The action to report out following closed session, the board unanimously voted to enter into a voluntary resignation agreement and settlement agreement with release of all claims for the employee with personnel number 270967 as set forth in the voluntary resignation agreement. As such, employee with personnel number 270967 shall be effective separated December 31st, 2024. And that was moved by Tom Ashley and seconded by Vicky Carpenter. And the vote was 5-0. You. All right, and one other item.
Yes, we needed to make an adjustment to the agenda that we should have done before we went to closed session, but I would like to request that we move item 12.1 to after item 15.1. Item 15.1's already been moved to the front. And so we'll do 12.1 right after that due to travel constraint with some of our presenters, if that is acceptable to the rest of you.
I will move to approve that adjustment.
Second.
Second from Trustee Carpenter. Any discussion? Going to move on to the student advisory vote.
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Student advisory vote and 5 ayes from the Board of Trustees. Thank you, sir. All right. So the item, there are two items that will be moved prior to public comment. And starting off with our Sacramento update from MGI Advocacy. The McAllen Group Incorporated provides legislative advocacy services in Sacramento on behalf of the district. Mark McDonald will present a brief legislative update covering ideas of interest to the California Community College System and Mount San Jacinto College. Mark, the floor is yours.
Oh, thank you. Wow, what a difference. Yeah. Now I feel powerful. No, so districts that are not on the funding formula will be on the funding floor. And there are districts out there that I've talked to that are going to be looking to make cuts this year, even if there is additional Proposition 98 money. So you should be aware of that. A quick legislative update. I have a number of bills that we tracked for this district this year. They're in your handout. I'm not going to go over all of them or we would be here all night. But if you have specific questions on bills, I can definitely get into those. But on the allied health bills of interest, I did put two bills that were vetoed because they were high profile bills. The other bills are bills that were signed that this district will be implementing over the course of the next couple years. But AB 2104 and SB 895 would have allowed community college districts to offer baccalaureate degrees of nursing. They both would have set up pilot projects. Each of them would have allowed for 10 community college districts to do it. Both of those bills were vetoed, significant vetoes and definitive veto messages by the governor that he wants to see cooperation between community colleges and institutions that are already offering BSN degrees. So if there's debate, we're debating right now whether we're going to reintroduce these bills or not. We would hopefully next year consolidate behind one bill and bring one bill forward if we go again. But there are other questions like whether we deal with clinical placements and things like that. Brown Act, this is for your student trustee. This is a student-sponsored bill. It removes some of the requirements around Brown Act for student meetings, not for trustee meetings. For example, if a student were taking a meeting in his or her home, they wouldn't have to post that location as an open location. These bills are all related to Title IX, and they were all changes in Title IX. If you'll recall, at the beginning of the year, there were some issues at the CSU, and Chancellor Castro ended up being fired. Because of that, there was a Title IX report that came out of the Assembly Higher Education Committee with a number of recommendations. And these bills all address recommendations that were in that report or came out of other incidences that occurred throughout the course of the year. For example, AB 2925 was the Jewish caucus response to some of the protests on campuses because of the war in or the conflict in the Middle East. Courses and programs. I'm sure your academic senate is well aware of AB 2057. It extends the date on the 928 working group and then looks at expanding the number of units that can go into STEM ADTs. I want to point out SB 1244 would allow you to enter into dual enrollment programs with school districts that are outside of your service area if the serving community college district is unwilling to offer that program. So if there's another neighboring community college district unwilling to offer that program, you can go in and offer that program. SB 1348 creates a designation of a Black service institution at the state level, similar to the national HSI. Some financial aid bills. AB 1885 provides DSPS students that are only taking 9 units with access to the student success and completion grant, and AB 2033 will require you to have at least one campus store that takes EBT cards from students. Other items floating around in Sacramento, there was a transfer audit that we may or may not see some bills that come out on. It was released, again, low numbers of transfer students at the community college level. Again, not necessarily talking about capacity of a lot of our transfer to institutions. There's a 50% law audit that's supposed to come out. We'll see what that leads to, if any additional legislation. And then by the end of the year, the administration is supposed to release their master plan on career education. And we're anticipating that there will be a lot of deference given to coordination amongst segments in that master plan, which kind of brings us back to the BSN discussion. Next year's issues, COLA and growth are the top priority. We've been working with your president and your administration on trying to ensure that your full students that you serve, your full FTES are funded. In fact, we submitted a letter to the chancellor and the Department of Finance in coalition with a number of other districts, about 5 other districts, 6 other districts, requesting that full funding be made available for the past 3 budget years that districts are over cap. I talked a little bit about the funding formula already. The funding floor kicks in this year. Implementation of Cal Grant Equity Framework, another big issue again. Already talked about this, but this will be a focus again this year if there's money on the table. The system office has put out their budget request. They asked for financial aid funding, a common data platform, and then burden-free instructional materials refers to like 0-degree textbooks, expanding to instructional materials for some CTE courses where you need tools and things like that. Discussion about reintroducing the BSN bill and how we move forward on that. Part-time faculty healthcare. There are discussions at the state level as to whether they'll create a statewide pool of part-time faculty health insurance at the state level. For legislation, I just want to kind of pull a couple things up. The climate bond passed, Proposition 4. So there are 2 requests for climate and fire management training and microgrids for community colleges that would be funded out of that bond. That the chancellor's office is making that request. And then affordable student housing is still in discussion right now. The lease revenue bond is going forward, and it's going to fund districts that applied for that. So the politics of 2025, we're going to have the same speaker. We're going to have the same pro tem. Those won't change this year. The budget committee chairs were new last year, both of them. They're going to stay the same. The subcommittee chairs will stay the same. Good news, Assemblymember Alvarez from Chula Vista represents Southwestern College, which actually has a lot of the same similar issues as this district. They're growing because people are moving out of San Diego and moving south. So he's very sensitive to the needs of that district. So that's good for us here in Mount San Jacinto. Senator Laird will remain chair of the budget subcommittee on the Senate side, former community college trustee. Assemblymember Fong, former community college trustee, will remain chair of the higher education committee in the assembly. We may have a switch in the chair of the Senate Education Committee because Senator Newman is losing his race right now, 51 to 49. And so that's going to be called late, but if he loses, it'll open up a spot on the Senate Education Committee. Democrats will still dominate both houses, although Republicans made some inroads. I think they picked up 2 seats in the Assembly and 1 seat in the Senate if things hold. But that's not enough to eliminate the 2/3 supermajority that Democrats have in both houses. Proposition 2, the education facilities bond passed. Good news. They will start using that money with the January budget. Projects will start being released. In your area, there's really only one new legislator. All the rest of the incumbents won. Senator Ochoa Bo, I should have had a star next to her. She's an incumbent. But even Martinez Valladares is a former assembly member. So she's got some experience and now moves over to the Senate. So I did want to bring up, I turned this in before the governor announced his special session. And I just wanted to mention the governor called a special session and it will commence on December 2nd when legislators return to Sacramento. And the focus of the special session will be to defend what he has called California values, California policies against any changes that may occur in the federal government. I think for you, as trustees of a community college district, I think the biggest issue is probably immigration and what happens with the federal government on the immigration side. The state sued the federal government over 100 times when Trump was in office last time. And so the special session is meant to allocate funds to state agencies in order to carry out any lawsuits that they have to do. But there's also discussion about adding some money to programs like legal services for undocumented students, which community colleges have now. It's run through LACCD, but LACCD takes no cut off the top of it. It goes to all districts. They have to run it because it's Prop 98 money. Maybe some more money for Dream Resource Centers, which are the front for students. But there are those conversations occurring right now in Sacramento. People are putting their heads together on what's the best way to move forward as this administration comes in. So with that, happy to take any questions. Yeah.
Hey, Mark. Hi. Will you already mentioned our undocumented student issue, which I think is definitely something that's going to be front and center over the next year or so. So that's one. You mentioned Governor Newsom and, defending California values and what that's going to look like. I guess we just don't know yet what he's really going to come through with. So you kind of stole some of my questions away. However, one of the things that's annoying the entire country right now is how slow California collects votes. Are they going to do anything about that? Force counties pass a law to count votes faster, because we don't even know who's winning for our first district Riverside County supervisor.
Yeah,
Really. And it's like the election was like almost 2 weeks ago.
That's a great question, because the pressure is mounting on the Secretary of State. I will say that in my recollection, Padilla was a little faster than the current Secretary of State, but there has been criticisms over the last couple weeks. And counties have, I think, until December 5th to certify the election. So her hands are strung a little bit. But there could be a law. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a law moving up that date that they have to certify the elections by. Because there has been so much discussion
Right.
in California.
Because if this was a nail biter election, like everyone said it was a coin flip going in. If it was a nail biter, California could be causing civil strife in the country right now.
Yeah.
People claiming victory before they really knew they win. So, yeah. But you answered my other questions. Well, you didn't answer them. You brought my concerns up, but there is no answer yet.
Yeah, and the other issue will be climate change policies and what the impact will be there. And
Right, like EPA on car mileage standards for California to drive the whole rest of the country. Will that survive? I don't know, but that's not really a community college issue.
right, or transportation dollars. BART just got a bunch of federal money. Is that going to continue? So
Thanks.
A couple of weeks ago, I went with you, Trustee Ashley, and Roger Schultz, our superintendent, was there. I was at a joint caucus meeting and they talked about DEI. Apparently in a couple of states, like 8 states, they've removed it from their curriculum, from their vocabulary. Is there any talk about doing that in the state of California?
I haven't heard that at all. No. In fact, California has kind of leaned into it the other way from everything I've heard. The chancellor's office certainly hasn't talked about going away from it.
Thank you.
But that could be another area where there's pressure from the federal government coming on to California as well.
Will we see you in Sacramento at the legislative conference?
I was going to mention that.
Are you going somewhere?
I will be there. Karen and I already sat down and had lunch today and kind of plotted out a strategy. And we will be there. We'll have talking points for you and meetings. And we've already started with President Schultz kind of lining up what we want to hit on this year.
Any other
That'll
questions?
be in January. I will also be in Burlingame next week if you're there too, so.
Any other questions for Mark? All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item 12.1, and then we will, after this concludes, then we will go to public comment. The district's independent auditors, or CWDL, have completed their audit of the Measure AA bond financial records for the 2023-2024. The auditor found no significant deficiencies that are considered material weaknesses. There were no material findings or recommendations included in the audit report. The principal auditor will be at the board meeting to review the 2023-2024 Measure AA bond audit.
Thank you very much. My name is Ben Levitt. I'm the principal partner on the engagement for the Measure AA bond, covering the performance and the financial audit. It's my pleasure to speak to those results tonight. I just want to extend our appreciation to staff, led by Dean and Director, or Controller rather, Gail Jensen. We were able to get everything that we needed in a timely fashion to do our job and ultimately opine on these financials in a timely manner. The report consists of 3 auditors' reports. The first one, the independent auditor's report, is generally considered our chief work product. That's where we opine on the fairness of the presentation of the Measure AA fiscal 24 bond financial statements. Measure AA, of course, being the 2014 election that authorized $295 million for district facilities. Very pleased to report in our independent auditor's report at the start of the financial audit statement that opinion is unmodified. That is the highest quality opinion that an auditor can render, and is to say, based upon the results of our work, the financial information contained within the Measure AA financial statements for fiscal 24, the year ended June 30, 2024, can absolutely be relied upon by this governing board and all of the Measure AA stakeholders. The next auditor's result in the financial statements appears toward the end of that document, and that is our yellow book opinion concerning our testing of internal controls over Measure AA and controls over compliance. Had an exception been noted in the Measure AA control environment, we would detail that finding in that section of the report, and we would further list out that information in the findings and question cost section right at the very end of the financial statements. You'll note that at the end of the financial statements, the finding pages are blank, and that is because no control deficiencies were noted during fiscal 24. So an entirely clean financial statement audit for Measure AA. And then moving on to the performance audit, that tasks us with really focusing on one objective, where any disbursements out of Measure AA during fiscal 24 spent outside of the provision of the Measure AA ballot language. And to achieve that, we took a look at the approximately $17.2 million that was expended during fiscal year 24. We looked at around 24% as a raw kind of expenditure sample. From that, had any item within our raw sample been noted as being out of compliance with the Measure AA ballot language, that would be noted as an exception in the performance audit report. We note no exceptions to performance for fiscal 24. So an entirely clean audit opinion over all three audit work products for Measure AA. And so with that, I want to open for any questions any member of the board may have on any aspect of either of those reports or any of our procedures performed for fiscal 24.
Questions? Okay. No, I think, thank you very much for your report.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right. And thank you, staff, so much, and working together with CWDL. What an awesome group, and thank you for that. All right, moving on to item 4.1. Oh, yes, that is an action item. I apologize. Thank you. Correct that. Item 12.1, it is an action item. Thank you, sir. I will accept a motion at this time.
So move.
Thank you, Trustee Carpenter.
I'll second.
All right, thank you, Trustee Corona. Any discussion? All right, we're going to continue on to the student advisory vote.
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right, we had 1 aye from the student advisory vote and 5 ayes from the Board of Trustees. This audit is accepted. Moving back to item 4.1, public comment guidelines. Public comments are limited to agenda items that shall be no longer than 3 minutes per speaker and 20 minutes per subject unless further time is granted by the Board of Trustees. The first speaker is Anjanette Oberg.
Point of clarification, Trustee Silva, 3 minutes per speaker. Todd was saying 3 minutes per item. Is it 3 minutes per speaker? Because I was speaking to 2 separate items. Thank you. Aloha. I am happy to see some of you, but not all of you. That was the opening greeting for us at our convocation this year. It was not a welcoming message and did not reflect our commitment to inclusion, empowerment, and care as reflected in the proposed value statement you are set to approve tonight. I am one of many faculty with concerns about our current administrative culture here at this college, particularly at the executive level. Sadly, this is just one example of an uncaring and disempowering administrative culture. On October 9th, several of us joined an accreditation listening session, and a number of people across campuses, disciplines, and constituent groups raised concerns. Some of the adjectives used to describe our current administrative culture is fear-based, punitive, vindictive, biased, reactive, not proactive, disempowering, retaliatory, toxic, and others. I would welcome an audit, just as you had this gentleman audit our finances on Measure AA. I would welcome an audit on our current institutional culture, and I would welcome you as a board of trustees to host your own listening session so that we could have a safe, anonymous place to share our concerns directly with you ahead of any accreditation recommendations that might come. We have raised concerns with administration in the past. We unfortunately have such fear. People do not feel safe coming forward. My own department is likely facing retaliatory actions right now, which one of my colleagues will speak to later. Union can speak to the fact that people are afraid to file formal grievances. We are comfortable talking amongst ourselves, but few of us feel comfortable speaking openly in public. But if you all show the leadership and the care and the empowerment that you are going to be approving tonight for us, because working conditions are student learning conditions. This is bordering a hostile work environment. And we ask that you take the time to sit with us and hear our concerns for the people that are doing the loving work with your students for our community. We are part of that community and we need your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ober. Moving on to Sandra Blackman.
I've been here before speaking about the toxic work environment here. Associate faculty who are afraid of voicing their concerns. Recently, the board approved a contract with the part-time faculty union for office hours. And there's a lot of back and forth in terms of trying to get the fine points worked out. I had a faculty member call me and said she'd already turned in her paperwork twice. She was not going to turn it in again because of the nitpicking in terms of what the expectations were for her to offer her students office hours. She would give up those $35 an hour because she was not willing to move ahead with the headache that this was causing her. This is what we're talking about. Additionally, I spoke to earlier faculty members in various departments who will call me and tell me how toxic their their department is, or the conditions under which they're working. But they are afraid to file a grievance. Even if I tell them, you know, I think you have a very good complaint, they are afraid. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Blackman. Appreciate that. Next up, Michelle Vogo-Trout.
Do this. My eye contact will be limited. All right. Today would have been a good day for a notebook. That okay? So hear me? Okay. I'm ready. Start my clock. I'm speaking to items 15.3 and 8.4, mission value statement, as well as faculty recruitment revised. The purpose of our mission, vision, and value statements is to convey the direction of the organization, define our organization's identity, and guide strategic decisions. And through that, we are empowering each other to uphold the integrity of our work and through education to be champions of equity. I believe in this statement. I respectfully request that you vote it up today and that you pass it. That said, I'm also asking a very difficult question of you as the Board of Trustees of the Mount San Jacinto Community College District. You are our decision makers, and we need to see some trust and investment from you. I am respectfully asking that you pull item 8.4, faculty recruitment revised, and you add a tenure track faculty position to that list for psychology. Not supporting that hire in our department does not align with the institutional mission that you have previously approved or the values that you will likely approve tonight. We've been operating understaffed for 3 years now while we continue to grow, maintain, and serve more students throughout our district. Last year, our full-time psychology hire recruitment failed. This year, we were ranked 7 as well as 13 for a replacement and a new position. However, EC provided their approved list and removed psychology entirely from the list. This decision does not support the institutional commitment to equity. The rationale provided was lukewarm at best, a decision that was anchoring to CalGETC changes with the elimination of Area E because it affects some of our courses. However, those courses articulate to other areas. Here's the facts as I know them to be true. Psychology is the 4th largest program in your college. We bring in 1.6 million approximately in revenue each semester, and we transfer 11.4 students to other colleges. We award the most associate degrees in our pathway, and we are heavily relied upon for many other degrees. Our accreditation quality focus essay focuses on a 2-phase approach for transfer culture. As part of that culture, you have invested and partnered with Cal State San Marcos for a 2+2 initiative for special majors. It will have a 2-year pilot. CSM's proposal is very clear that they are targeting your psychology program with our growth and potential for growth. So current growth plus future growth. They have determined us to be a high interest pathway, and they are ready to meet with us and recruit faculty in the psychology program to help write the curriculum for part of that initiative. We cannot do that work without your investment. Notice I'm saying investment, and I'm not saying we're worth the cost, because the narrative matters. It is not a deficit mindset. We are worth your investment. We will be undoubtedly actively engaging in those conversations as well as the development of that curriculum.
Thank you, Ms. Fogeltrad. I appreciate that. Appreciate your passion on this item. Moving on to sorry, I apologize. Can you properly say your name? I apologize.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Dr. Truk Hamai. That's how you say my name.
Thank you.
I'm a full-time faculty member in the psychology department at the San Jacinto campus. I usually don't come to Board of Trustees meetings, so I appreciate your time in giving me a chance to speak on something that's very important. I'm speaking to section 8.4 regarding faculty recruitment. And before I do, I actually want to take a moment to share with you that in my many years of training for both my master's and my doctorate, the student has always been the North Star. Every decision we make is about the student-centered in everything that we do. And I want to speak to that because when you hear the word faculty recruitment, it takes away that narrative. And I want to remind you that as I'm sharing this, it really is about the student being the North Star, and that when we are doing faculty recruitment for the psychology department, we're thinking about how we can best serve our students at MSJC. And so I want to bring to 2 points. One is that I was a co-chair for the interim position for the psychology department, as well as a co-chair for the full-time position. And in that full-time position, unfortunately, it was a failed search. And in that failed search, it was a concern to me because number one, we have a committee that is completely dedicated with our time, labor, and efforts, taking away our time that we spend in the classroom to make sure that we bring forth the best candidates possible to serve our students. And we did. And so for executive leadership to deny the candidates that we brought up was puzzling, especially when it was a failed search with no explanation provided whatsoever. And so because I have to deal with the bloodbath afterwards, we still are very understaffed, 12-1, just on the San Jacinto campus, 12 adjuncts and only 2 full-time faculty to serve the amount of students that we have. That's horrendous. So I had to reach out to our adjunct faculty to see, because it's a different process, if they could reach out to the candidates that were denied a full-time position to see if they can come and serve as adjuncts. And when I reached out to them, I learned that they were just told that they were not chosen. So there's a lack of transparency. They weren't even told that there was a failed search. So that's really demoralizing for everybody that served on the committee, as well as for the candidates who spent hard hours training and getting ready for a position that would be a lifetime dream. And so I want to ask of you, please consider the amount of effort and time that we put in to develop the psychology department so that we can serve our students. It's absolutely draining, demoralizing, and actually creates obstacles when there is no transparency coming from executive leadership. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Hamai. Appreciate that. Next speaker is Jillian Patton.
Hello, thanks for allowing me to speak with you this evening. Thank you for your patience. I'd like to speak about the toxic environment that's been brewing here at MSJC, particularly directed towards women, a protected status group. With this example of this PERB, it was decision 2865E, Mount San Jacinto Community College District. The decision date was on June 28, 2023. It was a PERB decision. The description says that the case came before a PERB on Mount San Jacinto Community College District's exceptions to the proposed decision of the Administrative Law Judge, ALJ. The ALJ found that the district violated the Educational Employment Relations Act, ERA, when it removed faculty members Rosaline Giblins and Farrah Firtha as chairs of the chemistry department, refused to recognize their subsequent re-election chairs, reassign them to teach lower level classes for the fall of 2020 semester, and issue 2 counseling documents, each in retaliation for protected activities, including raising safety concerns, and alleging their removal as chairs was retaliatory. This district accepted, challenging the bulk of the proposed decision's legal conclusions, and asserted that the ALJ erred in his ordered remedies. The association urged the board to deny the district's exceptions and thus affirm the proposed decision. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Patton. Appreciate that. And our final speaker, Veronica Perez.
Good evening, trustees, executive cabinet, and colleagues present here today. My name is Veronica Perez, president for our MSJC Classified School Employees Union Chapter 767. I am here before you again today representing over 200 union members, classified professionals that work at MSJC. I am here to assert that the union's responsibility is to support its classified membership regarding all things related to labor conditions, roles, and responsibilities. However, I must reiterate that we are also here to help the institution to be successful as a whole in order to better serve our students and our communities. Of the many ways we can be of assistance is by identifying where there are inefficiencies. So I am here with a stretched out hand to say, please join us in a conversation on how together we can address and remedy all of the issues presented here by faculty and all of the issues that our classified staff have been dealing with such as low morale, short staffing situations, poor leadership, and lack of effective communication. We are experiencing a detrimental domino effect that is impacting the quality of service that students and staff receive. We all work under the same roof. We have skin in the game. We're all invested, mind, heart, and soul in the outcomes of each other's lives and the success of our students. Please reach out, join us in that communication. Let's collaborate. Let us go above and beyond the status quo and fix this. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Perez. And that concludes our public comments that have been submitted. Thank you very much for all the speakers. And we appreciate that. Moving on to item 5.1, Board of Trustees and President's Reports, and I'll start at the very end with Trustee Smith.
Yeah. Well, first, I would like to congratulate Trustee Silva for not only winning his election, but with a grand margin. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
I did attend the President's Circle here that was on the rooftop. And I was actually surprised by the community members that did show up. It was kind of a star-studded group that did come overall. But and the only reason I really bring that part up was when the presentation was given about all of the things that was accomplished by MSJC. It's quite an accomplishment when you sit back and, obviously no institution is perfect. There's always issues. And we understand that. But if you look at it overall from a big picture, it's very impressive of the things that it has accomplished and with the growth it has done, and it's done so in a very good manner. And that's something I think we all need to be thinking about. Me being a CTE guy, we had a conversation about this earlier. You want to do good at what you do, but you can't always add on more. You want to make sure that you can take care of it if you're going to do more. And what I heard in that rooftop was you've done very well with what you've been doing. And after the comments, just the reactions from those that was there, it was all positive, and even the reactions. So I think the staff, everyone should be proud of all of that. Obviously, there has to be some good culture here somewhere for those comments to have been made and those things to be done. Obviously, there's things that needs to be worked on, but it was very impressive. And also, I want to congratulate everyone that did that, besides also this audit that's unmodified. You guys should be really proud of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Smith. Trustee Corona.
On October 16th, I had the opportunity to meet with the peer review team for MSJC evaluation ICERs, also known as ICERs. Then from October 23rd to 26th, I attended the ACCT Leadership Conference in Seattle. After my return, I picked up my daughters and went to the football game and went to Dia de los Muertos event here on our campus and here in Menifee. My daughters had a wonderful time experiencing the festivities. This month was truly enjoyable to be involved with local and regional elections, getting involved with that. Congratulations to Calvin Smith. Congratulations to Trustee Tom Ashley. And congratulations to Trustee or Chair Brian Silva on their election victories. Their success is a testament to their dedication and to their hard work, and it's evident that they are appreciated by the communities that they serve. On November 8th, I had the pleasure of attending the MSJC Foundation's 60th anniversary. It was a wonderful event joined by Trustee Carpenter and Smith, and as well as many of our dedicated staff, faculty, and leadership. Several prominent elected officials were also in attendance, and it was inspiring to hear our Superintendent Roger Schultz speak about the progress of our institution and our future goals. At the event that we attended in Seattle, I took a couple sessions. I went to a couple sessions. One of them was called "Benefits of Sports of Community Colleges," and the session was really because I used to play lots of sports in high school, varsity letter in college, 4 years cross country track, but it was neat to hear the importance of sports, expanding possibly our sports programs in the future here at MSJC. Some of the reasons for this is free public publication, walking, our students will be basically walking billboards. Students are more accountable. Students will do better in school. Students will be more connected to the school. Being in sports will possibly lower anxiety for our students. This would increase enrollment, really important for our students and community, bringing pride when we have more sports programs, and helps to fundraise for college. So what sports can we have? I was thinking like we could have maybe, well, a way to do it is looking at the gender needs and the demographics of our students. We can invite high school students, maybe dual enrollment students or to our sports events. Basically what they were saying in the training, in the session was that if you build more sports programs, they will come. Students from around the area will come. And I also did another session about the bachelorette program. They talked about the BSN. But interesting, what they said about it was that maybe like we're spending a lot of time on creating the nursing program, like for bachelorette program, which is great, wonderful, but we should also focus on other programs. I could go into that later. And I want to end by saying that I want to say there's a lot of great publicity right now for MSJC. When I go home, almost every day, I'm seeing all these great things about our college. Every day, I'm getting information about enrollment, that we're the best online school, that we have the best nursing program, that we have these new STEM buildings, the best college in the area. And so as a result, I've started the enrollment process. Okay, so I'm gonna, I took this class in college. It was called ethnocentric, like high level course, but you're supposed to be like, live like, expose yourself to understand that person or that group or that culture. So I've enrolled as a student at MSJC, but I haven't picked a course yet. But I'm thinking about possibly taking communication because that's what our superintendent focused on. Well, we'll see if I can get in if they have space. But I plan to do it in person rather than online, and I'll try to take it at the Menifee campus. But we'll see. That's it. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Corona. Trustee Carpenter.
Thank you. Good evening and happy belated Veterans Day to all the vets, and thank you for your service. I attended and shared the State of the City, Menifee's State of the City, which was, the venue was at the stadium, of course, in Menifee. And I wanted to thank Rebecca Orlowski, her and her team, along with the leadership here at MSJC. You all are always welcoming, and Dr. Schultz, thanks for allowing the city to actually have the venue there. The theme was Hometown Heroes, and we certainly do have a lot of them in Menifee and in all of our communities. So it was such an honor to be able to celebrate them. I also attended the 60 soiree rooftop, and it was a wonderful evening. And more importantly, it's just amazing. It's been 60 years. And I just remember way back, it was just the San Jacinto campus. And walking, I used to live in San Jacinto, so I used to walk that campus quite a bit, and knew the family that owned a lot of the land there. So now, and I advocated for Menifee to be built way back when, and here we are in Temecula. So very proud to be a part of this institution. I know we have a lot of work ahead of us, a lot of things to do, but we're willing to roll up our sleeves and do what's necessary for our students' success. Congratulations, Trustee Ashley and Trustee Silva, for coming back to the board, being elected by the people, and have a good evening. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee Carpenter. Trustee Ashley.
It's evening, although it seems like it's evening at 4:30 these days. So good evening, everybody. I got a couple of things to share with you. I too attended the ACCT Leadership Congress in Seattle last month, along with Trustee Corona and Superintendent Schultz and Jackie. It was a very informative great. It was great to be back in Seattle. I haven't been there in years. It was great conference. One of the key things, it was my job, someone had to do it, to be the delegate for the picking the directors at large. All the trustees have their national association, and we had to pick our director at large. And for the second time, MSJC threw our weight behind Vivian Malaulu. She's a Long Beach Community College trustee for director at large, and she won. So not only did we back a great person, that person won. It's great. I met her many years ago when she shared she was a Honduran immigrant, made good, worked in the shipyards before joining community college, joining the Long Beach Community College. Great friend of labor. And anyhow, so she, I always remembered that she's from San Pedro Sula, which is the big city in Honduras. It's that my fiance happens to be from. So kind of easy to remember her. Beyond the conference, I also came and attended the President's Leadership Academy. I don't know what you call it, the award ceremony, the grand finale. I was there and got to hear every attendee give a little speech about what they learned and how they're going to move forward. Not just what they learned, but what are they going to take what they learned and do going forward. And it's always emotional and super intense. And it was great. Roger, with his position right now with the CCLC, was able to bring down the Larry Galizio, the president of the California Community College League. And he spoke to everyone. That was really great. And Dr. Pam Fisher came as well. It was great catching up with Dr. Fisher. So I loved it because people that want to seek leadership roles, not necessarily positions. Sometimes there's no artful way to share other than just work really hard and see if someone notices you, to see if you're going to take a kind of a leadership role. And this is a way without having to be inartful. You sign up for the Leadership Academy and you get to know other folks with similar interests in the district to bring the district ahead and to find ways to move your own life forward and some of your own career goals. So that was great. I also have, and it's on my phone, so I have to open it up again. Also, since my day job is at a K-12 district, I heard a lot of positive feedback to the, I think it was called Coffee and Conversation with MSJC. We invited all our K-12 partners. A lot of good feedback from that, from the people I work with every day. So good job on that. Whoever was setting that up, it was appreciated, I can tell you. So with that, hang in there, everybody. Strap in. It looks like it's going to be an interesting couple of years ahead. I'll tell you this, we'll definitely protect our immigrant students. That's it. That's it for me.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Ashley. So for me, good evening. I wanted to extend a thank you to the nearly 48,000 voters who voted for me in the November 5th election, a number that keeps growing every day. I especially wanted to thank my board colleague, Calvin Smith, who was a stalwart supporter from the beginning and helped in many ways, not only with financial support, but since our trustee areas are right next to one another, we had some crossover, and he was very helpful with word of mouth with his friends and neighbors. And in addition, I also wanted to thank my other board colleagues who spread the word about my reelection bid and the many thousands who spoke with their friends and neighbors about my bright vision for the future of MSJC. So when you defeat a political opponent by nearly 75% of the vote, I believe that qualifies as a mandate. So what do the next 4 years look like? I would like to think that the next 4 years will look a great deal like the past couple of years. A state leader in growth, a state leader in student success, and a state leader in board stability. No outrageousness, no chaos, only focused on student achievement. I will state that I do have at least 3 policy priorities for these next 4 years, and these are topics that I have discussed at length with staff in past conversations. Top of mind is the gym on the San Jacinto campus. That building needs to be cool in the summer and warm in the winter. Unfortunately, our students and our staff have had to endure multiple environmental privations in various parts of the year that other students do not have to deal with. Namely, the gym, according to students and staff, is a quote, swamp during the summer volleyball practices and games, and an ice box during women's and men's basketball practice during the late fall and winter. And that's not hyperbole for effect. Those are statements, are an amalgamation of opinions from students and staff about the conditions in the gym. Second, an automatic escalator for increases to head coaching and assistant coaching stipends, which have remained flat since at least 2017, if not sooner, and have not kept up with any cost of living adjustments or salary schedule increases. In my possession, I have 7 years of stipends approved by the board as evidence that can attest to this assertion. In the past 7 years, only one group at MSJC has not received a raise, and that's head coaches and assistant coaches. Third, an automatic escalator for meal money disbursements to student athletes. I want to compliment staff and the board for bringing those meal money dollars up to NC2A standard within the past year. But with drastic increases in inflation, those dollars are not getting nearly as much as they had in years or even months past. Those improvements need to be made permanent with an automatic escalator to try and stay on top of inflation. On the topic of student athletes doing amazing things, I wanted to congratulate first-year women's golf coach Scott Howerton and sophomore Madison Randolph for qualifying to participate in the 3C2A state championship at Monarch Dunes Golf Course in Napomo beginning this Sunday. Also wanted to congratulate coaches and players from women's volleyball on another Inland Empire Athletic Conference championship. They seem to be stacking those up. Eagles football is bowl eligible with their 6th win a couple weeks back, and will wrap up the regular season at the Saddleback Gauchos this Saturday in Mission Viejo. Still waiting on a date for that game, but it should be on November 30th. Women's basketball 2-0 after hosting the San Jacinto Lions tip-off tournament last week, and men's basketball's 2-1. I hope to see my board colleagues at a few games this year. And with that, I would like to wish everyone a happy and safe National Spicy Guacamole Day. And that concludes my report. Moving on to the student trustee, item 5.2. Sam.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is very dark outside. So starting off with my report, I would like to bring a couple messages to everybody from students and concerns that they want to bring up. I do want to bring in mind that this has been addressed to admin, so I have gotten information back and plan to give it back to the students about said concerns, although I would still like to present to you all that they exist and these are what students are talking about. First, starting off with students complaining over bike racks in the TVC campus. There had been an issue that students have resorted to bringing their vehicles, scooters, bicycles into the LRC due to the shortage of locations for them to do so. I have been informed that it is something that they are planning on looking into, but it is a student concern, and I think that this is something that should be analyzed, as transportation is becoming very, very difficult for many students as we go further into our economic state. And the only choice they have is bikes and scooters in order to get to their classes, and they deserve a location in order to keep that safe and keep it locked up, because it's a right. This is a right that they're allowed to have. There was also more concerns over cameras in the SJ campus due to a report of a possible harassment. This is also being looked into. It was towards the ELPS and the pantry. Again, this is going through admin, but this is something that was brought up as a concern. This is something that is being worked on right now. I only have so much limited information because this was unfortunately came in as a public report into SGA. So again, getting worked on, something that should definitely have some light shown on as well. A newer one that had just came in was students concerned over AI detectors and being falsely accused of using AI, although it is very much not the case. It is becoming a concern that students are considering dropping due to the stress that is coming out of this predicament, and they are being falsely accused of these AI detectors, saying that they are and they aren't. And I think there should be, or not that I'm aware there's any approved AI detectors, and it's just per per staff that they decide to use these detectors. And I think there should be more regulation on said so. Again, this is all going through admin. I have spoken with VP Teagan Brown. I'm trying to get as much information as I can and relay back to the students as much as I can. But these are concerns and things that 100% needed to be brought up. But on a lighter note, I would like to mention that I am deciding to work with VP Teagan Brown towards the Student Union Center. I do plan on possibly reaching out to the students as much as possible in order to get their input, their expectations, what they would want to see on campus and what they would like. So hopefully within the beginning of next spring, I will start some listening parties in order to create collaboration with the students because this is for the students. I was told that this is very probable and since this was in our, strategic plan, this is just a way to make it happen as soon as possible. And it is something that students 100% need because students will forever need a location to either relax or a place for them to have, no matter what, because this is just for student well-being, student mental health, and to have a location to be at so students can not stress over needing a place to stay or just having a place for their own. And this is considering that there's a couple of programs that want their space of their own and deserve a space on their own. So that is something that I will come in with more information. Hopefully I will get as much as I can. But I do see a lot of success coming into this and hope that this can come into fruition and leave a seed for a future and a bigger project that can come into this. I will be planning the SSCCC Advocacy Academy next weekend. This will be in Sacramento. I will come back with a lot more information and I'm really excited about this because I love the conferences that SSCCC hold. And I hope that I can come back and be able to be a better advocate for our students, but continue to do so even beyond my term as a student trustee and continue to use that to be a better advocate just for wherever I will plan to hold position in. And I will, as a proud Puentista, I was invited to the Noche de Familia that the Puente MVC campus will be holding. I'm going to be a presenter and I hope that I am able to inspire the future cohort and just have, give a voice to students as well who were also in my position. Because as a first generation student, I understand how hard it is to really transition into school and taking advantage of the programs and finding out everything and like just making it as far as we possibly can. And this program has been nothing but supportive towards these students. And I want them to know that they're not alone. They can continue to go. They can go as far as they can. And Puente just means so much to me. So I will just be an inspiration. I also want to give kudos to President Miller as she has been a big support on helping with the Student Union Center. The other week we had a meeting and she brought in somebody from Santa Rosa. It was a community college, junior college. She brought in a presenter and it was immense help on ways that we are able to tackle this Student Union Center and how we can reach out to our students and reach out to you guys and to get as much support as we can on this. So a lot of plans coming forward, hopefully working on a workshop by next spring. A lot of plans coming forward. And I just want to say that I am trying to do as much as I can with the little time that I have. So I appreciate you guys giving me this seat and this opportunity to do that and give back to the students as much as I can. And that is the end of my report.
Thank you, Trustee Cardenas. Moving on to item 5.3, Superintendent President, Executive Cabinet.
Cabinet first. Okay.
Good evening. I wanted to share with you that our Veterans Resource Center participated with the City of Menifee event and made 500 new friends of MSJC. So really great partnership opportunities so that we could leverage our resources with theirs and being able to outreach to all of those new folks. Good news, our health service center was accredited. So we received word from Dr. Lisa McAllister this week that we are ready to go for accreditation. And so it will become effective once we receive the certificate, but amazing work by her team. They absolutely knocked it out. And it's the first, yes. Oh, yes, first, I'm sorry, yes, the first community college in the country to receive this recognition. So also, our financial aid department will have a representation here at the Temecula Valley campus. We've been waiting for this for quite some time. We needed to get some additional staffing, and we were able to do so, and they will be having full support at the Temecula campus starting next Monday. So that means that any student that needs that support can go to the second floor and receive it, not have to drive over to Menifee to do any ID verifications or anything else. So we're really excited about that partnership. Also, our Eagles Landing program handed out 300 turkey and ham vouchers to our students in literally 19 minutes. So it really just demonstrates the demand that our students need right now for extra resources. And so I know our Eagles Landing department is looking at some other options, especially during the holiday season, to be able to hand out additional turkey and ham vouchers. And then lastly, our HBCU caravan was scheduled in late October. And the highlight of the day was that we had an on-the-spot admission and full scholarship awarded to Nala Noel, a Chaparral High School student who was accepted to Harris Stowe State University. So really exciting news, and we're hoping that we'll be able to continue with that event in the future. Thank you.
And I just have a brief thing. I wanted to highlight one person that's on your agenda tonight in the separations area. My executive admin assistant, Debbie Grace, has retired. So happy for her, so sad for me. But she truly is one of the greatest people that I know, and has been a great partner for many years. So just sad to see her go, but I'm really happy for her next chapter. That's it.
So thank you very much. So if you'll indulge me for a little bit, this will be a little longer than my normal report. But over this past weekend, while most of us were enjoying our 3-day weekend, we had a team of people who were doing a major upgrade to our system. So we have one system at the college that is kind of the crux of everything that we do and all the reports to the chancellor's office. This is what it allows students to register for classes and us to function as an institution. And every 3 to 4 years, they do a major upgrade. So this is like going from a Windows 10 to a Windows 11 type thing, which takes a lot of lift on the back end. Led by our newest Dean of IT, Catherine Stratton, organizing this. We had teams working Saturday, Sunday, and Monday of this week. So people give up their entire holiday weekend. And so what I want to do is just read a list of names of the folks that actually dedicated their time, most of them all day on Monday, to validate the system to make sure that all of the upgrades still work for the students, still work when staff came in on Tuesday, and they chose to do it over the holiday weekend so there would be no interruption to services. So obviously when we do this, we can't even bring in applications from the state. We can't do new enrollments. We can't add or drop. And so they picked a time where there would be the least amount of activity. And so they were willing to give up their holiday weekend for it. So I'm just going to read off about 35 names here of those folks that dedicated. And this is a mix of classified, supervisory, confidential, and administrators. So we had Lupe Jimenez from Adult Ed, Stephanie Solis from ASC, Laura Vasquez, Elizabeth Worthington, David Schatt from Business Services, Alyssa West from CalWorks, Sitlali Gonzalez and Jamie Almos from Counseling, Dylan McDougall, Akia Marshall, Robert Parker, all from Enrollment Services, Araceli McDaniel, Rosetta Jimenez, Bernadette Fur, Shanae Williams, Celissa Vang, Joseph Yu, Megan Amador, all from Financial Aid, Eric Milbach from Human Resources, Sherry Nash, Eileen Calderon, Nicole Sarabia, Rose Patterson, all from Instruction, Catherine Stratton, Alexia Jimenez, Robert Holman, Patrick Ramaker, Joseph Marin, Corey Brady, Emily Pascaletto, Brian Orlowski, and Aaron Stafford, all from IT, Nick Maceris from Research, along with Steven Sandstrom from Research, and Jared Davis and Lisa Campbell from Student Services. And a special shout out to, I know they hate this, but to Catherine and Aaron. They worked Saturday and Sunday and Monday to make sure the system was operational and fully functional. So props to the entire team that dedicated their weekend. We couldn't have done it without them. And again, minimal interruptions. So I just wanted to make sure they got acknowledged. Thanks.
Thank you, Brandon, and thank you for the crew. Brandon was keeping me posted. And I think thank you to you as well, because they didn't do that without you monitoring and making sure all was well. So yes, that is a compliment to you as well. For my report, it seems like a lot of us have a lot of information to share, and I think this will be a little bit longer than my normal as well, but I'll keep it as brief as I can. Regarding the past Biz Hub, Trustee Silva asked for an update. We have been meeting with Vice President Johnson's team about the apprenticeships, job placement, working with other agencies, but we are dependent on the city of Beaumont. Unfortunately, the city of Beaumont, the person that was working with us will be the third individual to have left that post. So we're waiting to see who that will be, and we're hoping to get in there. I think that will delay us. Right now, we were hoping for January, February. With that delay, I will keep you posted once we can meet, but we're poised and ready to go. I know the city leaders, I know council members are really excited, but we need the staff to work with. You have in front of you a fast facts handout that Andy Pasolini and her crew put together. I want to thank her because it was an idea I had, but she had the idea of also having it bilingual as well. So we have a Spanish version as well. So thank you, Andy, for making that happen so quickly and getting all the great things and the numbers about our institution. Our board referenced a special board meeting in the agenda that they approved the minutes on October 30th. That was to make us eligible for a $2.5 million grant from the county. I'm happy to say last Monday, not of this week, the prior week, the county did approve that with a lot of funding going to, well, all the funding really going to support CTE activities. And that will have a tremendous impact on everything from digital media to allied health. Speaking of our digital media area and audio, I had the pleasure of having Bob Bosanello, and I haven't seen Alan Marcella's work yet, but we are the first community college to have partnered with Dolby Labs and have Dolby Atmos and Dolby Vision in teaching those courses. This is state of the art. I was actually blown away listening to the demo. It is just a complete sensory overload type of situation. And then at some point, I think we're going to have to open up and tour of that, because our students are going to have cutting edge training that will lead to jobs very quickly with this type of certification. So kudos to them. We will be the site for a December 4th breakfast. It is not our breakfast, but the foundation is working with CSU and the local higher ed coalition to try and bring awareness to the fundraising to bring Cal State San Marcos and other higher education partners to this campus. And lastly, we learned last week, and I announced this Friday, we are working on a press release right now, but it is publicly released by Newsweek magazine. In fact, Andy was going back and forth with me and Brian Orlowski thinking we were spoofed because it's not something we solicited, but we were named by Newsweek magazine as a top online educational institution. And I think that speaks to the quality of our faculty's online education programs that we have. And we will be getting more information out, but it is legit, no matter how much we were questioning that. So anyway, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, President Schultz. Thank you, staff, EC, appreciate that. Moving on to item 5.4, Student Government Association Report. Joya Miller, welcome back.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. I know I've been gone forever. I want to start by saying time flies when you're under a lot of pressure. I have a lot to report as well. I have not been here, so I just want to talk to you guys. So for starters, I'll start with all the bad stuff, I guess. So it has been brought to our attention that some parts of the website still reflect academic probation, which is not consistent with what the catalog or the emails that students get, which states academic notice. And even though those students that are being put on academic notice do get that email, it is daunting to see on the website academic probation. That still scares people, even if they are not a part of that group that falls under academic notice or probation. So I just figured that you all should be aware of that. just for consistency. So also, uh, some of the students feel like some of the more rigorous courses should not have a hybrid option because they are too rigorous, and the hybrid option is actually making it harder to keep up with the course. And I know that does sound a little odd. However, that is the feelings of some students, myself as well. The physics should not be a hybrid course, and chemistry should also have a face-to-face option as well as hybrid and online as well. Also, there have been some issues of professors not being as sensitive to some students' needs as they should. So I do think, and this is purely my opinion, but I did want to bring it to the board's attention that maybe professors should go through sensitivity training maybe once a year, maybe even biannually, just so that they can be more caring when it comes to student issues, because life happens and sometimes professors don't care. And unfortunately, I have succumbed to this issue myself this semester alone. And it's discouraging, and it makes students not perform as well as they usually would or could perform. Also, the Accommodation Services Center is struggling to get professors to send tests in a timely manner. I have also suffered from that. I have had to take physics tests 3 weeks after they were originally proctored because my professor was not sending those tests on time. And also, the Accommodation Services Center was kind of putting it on me to make sure that that professor sends the test. And I just don't think a student should be part of that process. Also, some students are reporting retaliation in classes from certain professors after filing grievances that they believe these professors are deserving of. And there should be more student evaluation reports offered throughout the semester. And also, there should also be some sort of platform where students can come and air those grievances out. I do, and myself as well as Trustee Cardenas do give them an opportunity to come to the Board of Trustees to report, but they are nervous because there are a lot of heavy hitters in this room, and understandably, it makes them fearful to come and speak to you all because you are the backbone of this school as well as the students. So they are nervous to come and speak to you. So I do think that maybe there is a way that we can streamline that process where the students don't have to come here, but they should not be suffering at the hands of their professors due to outdated and possibly abusive tactics that they may have endured during their own schooling. We're in a new time, a new age, so that's not something that should be happening, and MSJC is not an institution that represents that kind of treatment. Also, we need to ensure, or we need to have a student voice on hiring committees because faculty is not sitting in these classrooms with these professors. So where they may come to the interview nice and great, and they have their T's crossed and their I's dotted, when they get to the classroom, it's not the same. It's not as clean as we would like for it to be. And professors are not doing their job efficiently, and a lot of students are suffering because of that. And I do understand that we have a lot of students with A's and good grades and things like that. But they are busting their butts for it, and it is costing them their mental health. In the last suggestion, I should say, is that we really need to offer vegan options in the cafe. I am a vegan student, and I do not have any options available to me if I'm unable to make it home, and the veggie burger isn't even vegan. So that's something that we should consider, but we will be writing a resolution on that point. On a lighter note, or maybe not quite light yet, but career readiness is lacking for students. A lot of students are wondering what their next steps are after they graduate. There are no pathways for them. So they graduate from MSJC, then they go out into the world and they're nervous about what happens because some of them may not be able to secure a job. So I think that there's room for collaboration or partnerships in that aspect. So I'm definitely happy to hear that there was a grant that just passed. And hopefully some of that funding will be apportioned to career readiness or the career services. Now on a lighter note, we are currently working on changing the SGA logo. We want to make SGA a more welcoming place, and the logo is definitely a part of that psychologically. We want people to want to be here. And currently the SGA logo is very suit and tie, I should say. That's not very welcoming to students who want to come to class in pajamas. Also, we're still interviewing officers. We have 4 prospects that just passed executive council, so we may be welcoming 4 members, and our SGA family is getting larger, so I'm very happy about that. Like Trustee Cardenas mentioned, we will be attending Advocacy Academy, which is hosted by SSCCC next week. I will be presenting there, so be on the lookout for me. Also, in the past month of October, I've had the busiest month ever. I attended 4 conferences, and there's a common theme of enhancing the Black and Latinx student experience by removing some old traditions and making the school environment more welcoming for students of different ethnic backgrounds, and to boost enrollment and retention among these groups. And we need more spaces for students of different cultural experiences on every campus. So we will be collaborating with outreach to have officers also go out and get more students from the community involved. And also, I would also like to propose that maybe we do offer a time for prayer for our Muslim students to make the environment more welcoming for them as well, or at least have a space for them to go and do that. Oh, where was I? Oh, we need to consider a space for childcare and more resources for student parents on every campus. I understand that that was kind of a money blower. However, there are more student parents enrolling in schools at this time, and they're suffering from lack of resources as well. And since the Gains Act just passed, and the data, we need to look into reopening childcare facilities, and we are in the talks with that and the SGA as well. We should consider offering a competition to the students at MSJC to make the environment more welcoming amongst administration and faculty, where students would possibly be offered a scholarship or something for redesigning or having more options for MSJC swag. Because like I said about the SGA logo, this logo here is also very suit and tie. So we want to, I love it. And I do think that it should remain, but we should have other options as well. Let's see. We also should consider adding African studies to our course catalog. We're a little behind on the curve. We did have a student suggest that, and it has not been going well for her, but I'm a strong advocate in that regard. African American studies and African studies are not the same, and I definitely think that we should be highlighting that. Since we offer wine cultivation and making courses as well as cannabis courses and certificates, we should definitely consider offering more cultural courses. I mentioned, be collaborating with Career Ed and Outreach to make some changes to the Outreach and Career Ed program to boost enrollment, engage the interest of the community members in the surrounding areas, mostly to shift gears and make MSJC more engaging for students and not like a commuter school, which is reportedly what it feels like to a lot of students. And also to make the online students feel more welcome to come onto campus when they're not in class. SGA would like to collaborate with Eagles Landing and CalWorks to help with the holiday meals distribution. We could possibly use some of our funding as well to get some of those meals out to students, just to broaden the horizons. And also, a little selfishly, I was officially invited to be a panelist on the Black and African American Advisory Panel. And I did do a podcast on BSIs with a lot of heavy hitters in the higher education system in the state of California. So that's just another thing under my belt. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, President Miller. Moving on to item 5.5, Classified Senate Report. Ronnie's not here. Moving on to 5.6, Academic Senate Report. Nick Zappia.
All right, thank you. Just a side note before I start my report, student voice on hiring committee is something that I have advocated for, and I believe Michelle was also advocating for when she was in this seat. So Senate's ready to have that conversation whenever. On to my report. You've heard tonight and will continue to hear that faculty, associate faculty, and classified staff have real concerns about the culture at MSJC. Sometimes when you sit in this seat, your statements get interpreted differently than what you intend, but it was never my intent to downplay these concerns. The concerns are real and they need to be heard. The Senate has taken recent action in response to one specific faculty concern regarding office space and workspace access, safety, and cleanliness of workspaces, which are a vital part of student success and equity. The Academic Senate and the Faculty Association passed a joint resolution making the following requests. We request that the district give all faculty access to faculty offices and applicable workspaces at minimum Monday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. We request the district provide a prompt response to access issues, including but not limited to malfunctions in the key card system to prevent faculty losing access to workspaces. We request that district provide access card training on all aspects of the system usage and safety protocols, including but not limited to active shooter and lockdown protocols. And we ask the district provide clean, safe, clean office space and keys in a timely manner to faculty forced to move offices in wake of building closures and new building construction. In addition, I want to address the joint hiring committee results that were brought up in public comment today. Joint hiring, which is made up of faculty and administrative representatives, had a robust deliberation conversation about the hiring, went through an entire process to make our recommendations and rankings. We stand by those rankings, which include ethnic studies ranked 5th and not combined with sociology, and psychology ranked 7th and 13th, which is not included on the list in front of you today. The psychology, as you heard earlier, was a position that this board had approved last year, and not for a failed committee would have already been hired, right? As a department chair of a department that has had a failed committee, I know the hard work that goes into that, as we have, and poli-sci have had multiple failed committees in a row. So it is discouraging to have that approved, have something failed, and then not have it approved the next year. I recommend pulling, in light of the public comments, I recommend pulling item 8.4 for discussion and reconsideration. And that ends my report.
Thank you, Mr. Zappia. Appreciate that. All right, moving on to item 6.1, approval of the consent calendar. With item 6.1, I would like to suggest that we pull item 8.4 for further discussion, but aside from that, that's it for me. Is there any other related items? All right, I will accept a motion for the rest of the consent calendar with pulling 8.4.
That motion?
I'll second.
Trustee Carpenter, thank you, Trustee Smith. Moving on to any further discussion? All right, we're going to continue on to the student advisory vote.
Aye.
Right, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. All right, we have 1 aye from the student advisory vote and 5 ayes from the board of trustees. The consent calendar is approved. Moving on to item 8.4. First, we need a motion and all that stuff before we discuss. So I'll accept a motion at this time.
I move to approve 8.4.
Thank you, Trustee Ashley. All right, thank you, Trustee Carpenter. All right, so moving on to discussion, I would like to thank the board for allowing me to pull this item. I wanted to ask staff about the combining of the ethnic studies and sociology position at the Menifee Valley campus. And please tell me about that decision and the reasoning as to why it was chosen to combine those teaching disciplines.
Certainly, yeah, I can provide some background on that. Just to add to, you heard a bit of context from Nick Zappia on that committee and how it works. I can tell you there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that does go into those recommendations that come to cabinet. What you see on the board agenda, cabinet has looked at. The majority of those that came from joint hiring are passing through to this agenda. On the ethnic studies position, there is currently only one course that is approved for the general education area for that course. We're offering it for the first time this semester. We are expanding that course next semester, but the amount of enrollment in that specific area is not yet enough to support a full-time position. A lot of the enrollments that also apply to ethnic studies live in other departments as well through cross-listing. So our history department, our political science department, our literature department, a lot of students are choosing those choices right now. It is a growing area for sure. I think in a crystal ball, I do think we will eventually need dedicated full-time faculty in this area, but we need to be prudent and careful in our hiring process for that position to not race forward too quickly in hiring a completely dedicated position for that area. Why combining ethnic studies and sociology? One of the possible minimum qualifications for hiring sociology combines ethnic studies and sociology. So our intention is to go out, recruit for this position, get someone who has the expertise in ethnic studies and sociology in order to have a full load and provide that drift that we believe is going to happen. We believe there will be more of a drift toward ethnic studies, but recruiting this kind of combination position will poise us to be ready for that transition as it comes.
Thank you very much. Any further questions as it relates to item 8.4?
I have one. I'm curious if those that was championing for this position, if they had the information that you shared with us to them.
I did explain that rationale through the academic senate president to them.
Any other further questions from the board? Okay, thank you. Moving on to since discussion is concluded with this particular item, we are going to continue on to the student advisory vote.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. We're going to, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Okay. All those opposed say nay. All right, we had 1 aye from the student advisory vote and 5 ayes from the board of trustees. Item 8.4 passes. Moving on to the open agenda, human resources, 11.1, the SERP. It is recommended, the supplemental employee retirement plan, SERP, is being proposed to offer additional retirement benefits to all eligible Mount San Jacinto Community College District employees, contingent upon generating cost savings for the district. The supplemental employee retirement plan is a strategic initiative that supports the district objectives, managing workforce reductions, facilitating succession planning, and optimizing organizational structure. This is an action item. I will accept a motion at this time.
I move to approve.
Thank you, Trustee Ashley.
I'll second.
Thank you, Trustee Corona. Any discussion on 11.1? All right, we're going to continue on to the student advisor vote. Thank you very much. All those in favor say aye.
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 And all those opposed say nay. All right, we have one aye from the student advisor vote and 5 ayes from the board of trustees. Item 11.1 passes. Moving on to item 12.2, since item 12.1 was already discussed. It is a public hearing. On October 10th, 2024, the Board of Trustees approved the intent to grant of easement for the city of Wildemar and scheduled a public hearing at the next scheduled Board of Trustees meeting on November 14th, 2024. The city of Wildemar is requesting permanent and temporary easements for the purpose of constructing the Clinton Keith Road widening project, and broken down as follows, and you can read that at your leisure. So we will open the hearing at 6:54. Is there any discussion, public comment related to 12.2? Okay. All right. We'll go ahead and close the public hearing at 6:55. Hey, look at that. We just changed that minute there. Now moving on to 12.3, approval of grant of easement to the city of Wildemar. It is recommended the Board of Trustees approves the grant of easement for the city of Wildemar. I'll accept a motion at this time.
Make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you, Trustee Carpenter. Thank you, Trustee Corona. Any discussion on 12.3? All right, we're going to continue on to the student advisory vote.
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right, we had one aye from the student advisory vote and 5 ayes from the Board of Trustees. Item 12.3 has passed. Let's see. 13.1, 2025 board member conference and training schedule. With consultation between the board president and superintendent president, the district requests an annual review of the annual schedule of conferences and trainings to standardize approved travel and expenses for all members of the board, establish a process for unscheduled travel requests, and in an effort to remain prudent in uncertain budget times, it is proposed that the board approve all board travel for scheduled conference for the 2025 year, and there's a list located below. This is an action item, so I will accept a motion at this time for 13.1.
Go for it.
I move for approval.
Thank you, Trustee Ashley.
I'll second.
Thank you, Trustee Corona. Any discussion on this item? All right, we're going to continue on to the student advisory vote.
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. All right, we had one aye from the student advisory vote, 5 ayes from the Board of Trustees. Item 13.1 passes. Item 13.2, the MSJC annual organizational meeting. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees confirm the date, time, and location of the 2024 annual organizational meeting, and it will be Tuesday, December 17th, 2024 at 4 o'clock in Menifee, at the Menifee Valley campus. This is an action item, so I'll accept a motion at this time.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Trustee Carpenter. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Trustee Corona. Any discussion on this item?
Yes.
Go ahead. Yes, sir.
Why Menifee?
Why not?
Okay, all right, touche. This is our regular meeting place. The public's accustomed to coming here to meet at that time, so that would be my touche back. But also, I wanted to make it clear that you did say it, but you said it fast. It's at Menifee, everyone. Don't miss your meeting place. It's on a Tuesday, not a Thursday in Menifee.
And the reason that we're meeting on Tuesday on this particular date is because it coincides with a previous meeting that has already been scheduled. And so we're knocking all of these things out in one succinct meeting time, basically. Is that's correct?
And had to be adjusted because of the statute regarding post-election certification after second Friday in December. And you have a window of between December 13th and the 28th, and the Thursday would have been December 26th. The district is closed, so. And we wanted to alternate campuses once a year, so this was the one that fell into that. And as Trustee Silva mentioned, we had a workshop previously planned on accreditation over there.
Any other further discussion, Trustee Ashley? Okay, all right.
Point of clarification, I'm sorry about that. That's me. Are we required to be at this organizational meeting as well?
Yes. Not the organizational part, but that takes 5 minutes and then we have a normal meeting.
Right.
So the organizational part takes, well, it takes more than 5, usually 15 minutes, and then we have a normal meeting. So hope to see you there.
Thank you, President Miller. I appreciate that. So we're going to continue on to the student advisory vote.
Aye.
Thank you very much. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right, we had 1 aye from the student advisory vote and 5 ayes from the Board of Trustees. Item 13.2 passes. We'll see you on the 17th as it relates to that. Trustee Carpenter had indicated that she needs to depart, correct? Okay, very good. Thank you. All right. And I wanted to clarify that because we're moving into public comment, and if she needed to go, this would be a great opportunity to depart. All right, so moving on to item 14.1, public comment guidelines. Public comments may address any item of interest to the public other than agenda items that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the college. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes per speaker and 20 minutes per subject unless further time is granted by the Board of Trustees. And we welcome to the front Michelle Vogel-Trout once again.
Good evening. Hello again. I wanted to first congratulate Trustee Silva, Trustee Ashley, and Trustee Smith on your reelection. I also wanted to personally invite you tonight to the Phi Theta Kappa induction ceremony that's happening right now at the Menifee Valley campus. I had hoped to be inviting you to this campus, but unfortunately we were effectively phased out by the cost to host a student event here. So we do have some areas of improvement to help us expand our access to students in the future with holding a reception here. The reception follows the ceremony, which is 6 to 7:30, from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. I do know that Menifee Valley campus happens to be on some of your ways home. So if you have time to stop by and mingle with the families and the inductees, I'm sure they would appreciate you being there. Today, the ACC-JC regional convening was held in Riverside, California to advance the 2030 strategic goals for members of the institutions that affiliate, so including ourselves, on transparency, storytelling, and value literacy. That team could be comprised of trustees, administrators, faculty, and staff. I expressed interest, but was told I was not able to because we have someone currently serving in a role as a faculty and related to accreditation and no room for other faculty to attend. I was actually surprised to not hear any of our Board of Trustees members to speak about their experiences today attending that, or any of the administrators that I would assume would have attended. So I'd love to hear an update at some point. Our ISAR highlights things that we have done and great efforts and achievements, and I'm very proud to be an Eagle. You know that. I love this place and I love serving our students, but it solely focuses on transfer culture, and I think we missed an opportunity. And tonight for me, unfortunately, I'm feeling validation in that missed opportunity. We missed a critical opportunity to commit boldly to an inclusive people-centered culture that addresses our systemic sociocultural inequities that exist currently in this institution. You should not be surprised that it's your psychology faculty and many other people in the humanities and social sciences that are expressing these concerns. We know how important people are because people are the institutions, not your buildings, not your facilities or anything of that nature. It's your people. We are the institution. Not addressing those inequities of those lived experiences by many of your members, many of which are too scared to share those with you, is a missed opportunity. It's also a validation of dismissal that is ongoing and subsequent disengagement from members of your community as a result. You have passionate workforce personnel here who are not engaging and realizing their fullest potential because they are feeling that concern. So I echo the sentiments of my colleagues. I'm concerned that when we have a person in the room that represents the Ethnic Studies Advisory Council, who also wrote the proposal not being addressed to speak, that's That's something we again missed an opportunity. No faculty was consulted on the combination of sociology and ethnic studies position, and that is directly in violation of our 10+1 purview rights and responsibilities. And I'm truly asking you, calling you to action to start investing in some difficult decisions and taking your choice as the board.
Thank you, Ms. Vogeltraub. Moving on to item 15. Oh, that concludes public comment. Moving on to item 15.2, because we had 15.1 earlier, seal of Excelencia. Hope I'm saying Excelencia. Oh my goodness. Thank you. I'm gonna, sorry, my syllables weren't working so well. Leticia Luna Sims, Director of Title V HSI and Latinx Initiatives, and Dr. Alma Ramirez, Dean of Arts and Communications and Design Pathway, will present on the seal of that word a national, oh, thank you. Anyways, a national certification recognizing colleges for their commitment to Latino student success. Oh my goodness.
Very good, thank you. That's just that, okay, it works. Got it. So I'm here today to talk about the Seal of Excelencia, but first of all, I just want to highlight the pretty new Office of Latinx Affairs here on campus, which was an intentional move, and you'll hear me talk about intentionality in just a second. And just some of the things that I want to highlight that this office does is it oversees and manages our Title V grants that we receive because we are an HSI. Some student engagement, which this office is responsible for putting on the events that happen during Latinx Heritage Month. And so just wanted to highlight those couple things before I move on. So Excelencia in Education is it's an organization that its mission is to accelerate Latino student success in higher education. And they established the Seal of Excelencia, which is a national certification for institutions that focuses on intentionally serving Latino students. So really the whole purpose of this is to strive going beyond enrollment and really serving Latino students. I just want to highlight here the nationwide, there is 600 Hispanic serving institutions. There's 412 emerging HSIs. So emerging is really, they're on the tip of becoming an HSI, which they need 25% to become an HSI. So there is 412 emerging HSIs nationwide. 252 of those HSIs have graduate student programs. So that's what, I have it right here. That's what that is. So I wanted to highlight some of the colleges and universities that have been certified with the Seal of Excelencia. And notice, I'll talk about this in a second, but Long Beach City College has been the only community college that had received the Seal of Excelencia for years. However, just as of September 30th, there is now 2 more community colleges in California that beat us. Cerritos College, Hartnell, and well, the other one is in Arizona. But these are the newly certified institutions that have received the Seal of Excelencia. So Long Beach City College is no longer the only community college in California. So the Seal of Excelencia framework is really, it focuses on data, practice, and you have a handout in front of you, and leadership. So this really, and it kind of goes over all of the areas that under those data, the practice and leadership, but the framework really provides a standard and expectations from the institution to really transform change in that institution. There is no way that an institution can go through the process without really transforming the institution. So this is a framework that it provides that institutions must follow to apply for the certification. So under leadership, you can see here all of the details that it provides. So to get there, to be able to get to the seal, they realize that not all institutions are ready for that. It's not uncommon for institutions to apply for the seal 2 or 3 years before they're actually certified. So to get there, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do what's called the cita.
It's the seal serving institutional transformation assessment. So this is really an assessment that Excelencia in Education provides for institutions. It's really a starting point, right? To kind of assess where we are, who we're serving, who we're not serving. And it also uses a framework of data practice and leadership to do that. Really think of this as a seal light, right? It's a much smaller, it's not a certification, it's simply an assessment tool, but it's really to assess where we are. Let me just tell you a little bit more about the difference. So the difference between the seal and the CITA, the assessment, is you can see here the CITA is not a certification, like I just told you. It's simply an assessment tool, right? To really look at what we're doing, where we're being intentional, where we're not being intentional, and really the sections that it requires. So the CITA, you have to do 6 sections. For the seal, it's 11. So you can really see the difference here. There's a big difference. It's really a big endeavor to undertake the seal. Like I said a minute ago, to get the seal and to be certified, it really requires the institution to undergo some transformation, some very intentionality, the way that we're serving our students, really going beyond enrollment. So there's a lot that goes into the seal. As I said earlier, it's not uncommon for colleges to try multiple times, 2 or 3 times before they're actually certified. So you can just kind of see here the difference. It does require this is really a top-down approach, so it does require that the president of your institution is on board for this. In fact, they have to join. It's called the Presidents for Latino Student Success. So they also have, the president has to undergo a training and really has to be involved in the process. So what we did here at MSJC to kind of prepare for the CITA, we hosted in the inaugural HSI Summit back in September. It was very well attended. We had over 60 people that registered, about 45 attended, but it was great. We had a lot of good discussion, lots of presentations. And what we used and here at the summit are the guiding questions that we had to do for the assessment. So we engaged in conversation. There was faculty involved, there was administrators and classified professionals, and there was also students in the room. So really the next steps is we are actually in the process right now of completing our assessment. We are undergoing the CITA currently and really diving deep, answering some of the questions of what we have in place. And really it's looking in the mirror, right? How are we serving our students with intentionality, and where are we not doing so well and have some room for improvement? We meet with Excelencia in Education next week for a follow-up meeting after our actual CITA assessment is actually due tomorrow. So we're actually in the process right now of completing that assessment. So there is going to be lots of analysis and feedback given to us. We have every intention to provide you all an update and to really work with our leadership to provide our campus community kind of the findings and the results of that CITA. And then our intent is absolutely to pursue the Seal of Excelencia in about 2 to 3 years. And that's it. Any questions? Yes.
What do we get for that seal? Do we is it just on our website, we did it? Or do students, does it help them get accepted to a university or help them get a job? I'm just wondering, what do we get for all this hard work? Because it's a lot of work.
Absolutely. It's transformation. Really, you get a seal. It's a badge of honor. It's a big deal. Sacramento announces it. It's really, news press goes out. It's a big deal to get the certification. It's really transformation. You're looking at your institution and, really looking at your structures and what you have in place. We are absolutely an enrolling institution. MSJC has between 48 and 52, right? It ranges of our Latinx students here on campus. So we absolutely enroll our students. The real question is, are we serving our students intentionally? What structures do we have? And I'll tell you, going through the CITA currently, the assessment that we went through, we have some work to do. So really, you absolutely don't get the seal without really having some transformation in your institution. So the students will reap the benefits of that, right? Because we look internally at what we do, what structures do we have, how do we serve our students? So that's what we get as an
Yeah.
institution.
And it was a bit of a, not a trick question, like, of course, you don't get anything for the seal, but it's a certification that we're doing the hard work
Yeah,
of supporting our students. I
absolutely. That
understand
you're being intentional, that everything that you do it with this lens of intentionality to
But
serve the
it is
students.
daunting though to the sheer amount of paperwork that this institution goes through. Just, happily jumping into a whole nother kind of it's a sub accreditation. It's not like a accreditation, but it is still a lot of work. So I wouldn't
Absolutely.
want to tackle that. I want to meet our students' needs, but I don't want to heap work on our employees for a seal. I want it to be for the goodness of our students.
Absolutely.
And I spent about a 45-minute conversation. It was more of an interview with the leadership of Excelencia. And the intentionality that you've heard as a word describing this multiple times, it's important that we're certainly trying to be intentional about that work. But what they stressed to me was the work that we do for our Latinx population, the data shows it rises the student success of the entire institution. So it shows the support for our largest student demographic. It shows our commitment to student success. And then it also moves the entire success needle with the entire student population. So it does have, some prestige. It's elite. Even the group, they have you join as a president, and that group is fairly narrow as well. But again, sometimes the work is necessary. Yeah, it's hard. We've talked about it, but that's what we're here for. We're here for the students. So
I have, and now an easy question, like, let's say in 2 or 3 years, we get past Cecita and we get the real seal. Awesome. How often do we need to recertify?
3 years.
Every 3 years? Thank you.
I just wanted to say that, yeah, so you look around, and what institutions have this seal of Excelencia? And so you have Cal State Fullerton, you have Cal State San Bernardino, you have Cal State San Marcos, you have Cal State Long Beach. All the nearest Cal States around all have it. UCR has it, right? Long Beach City College has it. I spoke personally with Dr. Jose Fierros. He's the superintendent of Cerritos College. He was super excited and proud of his institution that just received it. It's rare. It is difficult. It's not easy. I'm very critical with how students, Hispanic students, the Hispanic community, Latinx community is treated everywhere in the communities and in the region. Are they being represented? Are they being served? Do we have the demographics do we have the demographic representing them? I would say that if we do receive that, I could not question without a doubt that we are serving that population, the majority of the population that we serve. I cannot question any one of these executive board members or superintendent. If we receive that, I better just smile and be proud of everybody here. It'd be incredible to get that. Do you think our institution is ready for this purposeful transformation for the seal of Excelencia? Do you think we're ready for that?
Not yet. That's why we started with the seal. I'll be honest with you. I had a meeting with Rebecca and there was others in the room and I told them, we are not ready for the seal. That's why we started with the CITA, because it's an assessment. It gives you really a landing, right? A place to let's look at ourselves. And that's exactly what we're doing. And that's why I said, I expect that we would go for the seal in about 2 or 3 years, because it is a lot of work. It's transformational work. It's intentionality. It's building the structures that we need to serve the students. So no, we're not ready right now. But I hope, the hope is that we will get there. That's the goal. We want to be on that list. I was tired of hearing, Long Beach City College. Now there's others there, but that's
Okay, I mean, that's what we're here for. And
Tired
like-
of hearing about them too. It's okay.
Yeah, like Roger, Dr. Schultz said, you know, it's not exclusionary. So the practices that will serve intentional or Latino students are gonna help everybody else. It would absolutely, it's gonna absolutely help our Black and African American students. It's gonna help every other student here on campus. So if, I just want to throw that out there, it's gonna, those practices and intentionality helps all of our students.
What, sorry. What do you think we would have to like do? Like, I know it's transformational, but like what changes would we have to make this more feasible?
Just to give you an example for the CITA, you know, you have to, it asks you very intentional questions, like what are you, and all of those sections that I listed, like leadership, data and our practices. So it asks you like, you know, what practice do you have that you're in enrollment. So it looks at enrollment, retention, transfer. There's like 11 sections. So it's a beast of a report that you have to do. And you have to look at what we're doing intentionally, like what practice do you have in place? And you have to provide evidence that it's working. So you can't just, you know, BS your way through this report, right, to get certified. It's a lot of work, and it requires a lot of conversations of what we're going to do different. So it's, I mean, I can give you more. I have all of the things, right? Not with me today, but I have like all of the things that I'd ask you under all of the sections, but it's a lot of change, a lot of intentionality in our practices of what we're doing. We do a lot of good things, but I will be honest, it's not intentional. We just do them. But it's not with a certain group in mind. I know that's the biggest population that we serve, but it wasn't intentional. We just like did the thing.
Would it possibly increase enrollment? Would it do anything with our faculty? Would they think differently? Would they be more supportive? Would they be more positive? How about our executive board? Would they be like more proud? I don't know what.
I mean, I think, you know, arriving to that, you know, to getting the seal, I think it would make everybody proud. I mean, when you're able to say like, this is what we do and how we're doing it, you know, and we are providing evidence on how we do the things, I think, I mean, I would speak for myself, but I would absolutely think that it would make our students proud, our campus community. It would reflect really well in the community. Like you're able to say, this is, you know, and you have evidence to back that up and to support that. I would absolutely think that it would, make a lot of people proud. I mean, it's really a badge of honor to receive that. It's not easy to get the seal. That's why, you know, colleges have to apply multiple times.
But going through the process, it will expose us to
Absolutely.
community of practices that are effective, have proven effective practices as a community college, and will allow us to not reinvent the wheel and accelerate our path towards student success at a much higher rate than otherwise.
Very much.
I applaud you and your team. I think it's great. I know it's a lot of work and we appreciate that.
Any other comments? All right, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Looking forward to that. Excelencia. There we go. I need to enunciate my words. It's having a George W. Bush moment there. Moving on to item 15.3, MSJC Values Statement Update. Anna Sterling, Interim Dean of Institutional Effectiveness, will provide an update on the district's values statements draft.
I'm back at the end of the agenda. So once again, I'm the last thing standing between you and leaving this evening. So I will try and make it quick. So I'm going to talk to you about an update to our value statement. This is part of our process for planning in the organization. And so just really quick to talk about the purpose of our mission, vision, and value statements overall. It's to convey that convey the purpose, direction, and underlying values of the organization. These statements define the organization's identity and guide our strategic decisions. Obviously, that's important because you have already approved the adjusted and revised mission statement. So again, this is going in that planning process. So really quick, just to kind of talk real quick about what the difference between our vision, mission, and value statements are, because they are very similar, but they are different also. So our vision statement really outlines our future goals and aspirations, kind of big overall. Our mission statement describes our current purpose and goals. And then our value statement aligns our core principles and culture with those goals. So everybody's familiar, hopefully, with our vision statement, transforming learners, transforming communities, and transforming lives. Again, this is our kind of big picture of what we do as an organization. And then the mission statement, which you recently approved. I'm not going to read the whole thing again for purposes of time, but again, talks about our goals, our current goals as an organization, who we serve in our populations, and again, mentions our Hispanic serving institution status. So when we talk about our proposed value statement, we looked at our previous value statement, and our previous value statement was a list of value terms. And so we provided that list of value terms to we reviewed the existing list of value terms and looked at potential new value terms during the mission statement development process. That list of value terms was then shared with all the various constituent groups via governance meetings and via email. And we asked folks to rank and review those terms. After reviewing the feedback from that survey, we found that instead of just providing the list of terms and looking at other value statements, we potentially would like to propose a new value statement. This new value statement brings into alignment with our other guiding statements. It incorporates the identified core principles without placing priority via a list, and it embodies the idea of aligning our culture with our goals. So for you today is the initial draft of the value statement. And I'll read that for you now. It says, as students, employees, and a community, we value empowerment through education, uphold integrity in our work, and champion equity in education through our commitment to open communication, seizing opportunities, fostering growth, embracing diversity, welcoming all, and caring for one another. So this is again for your review today, and we'll be back next month to ask you to adopt this as our new value statement for San Jacinto College. So I'll take any questions you might have about the process or the value statement.
Thank you, thank you, Dean Sterling. Appreciate that. Any questions? Nope, it looks like they are pleased. Thank you. Moving on to item 16.1, adjournment, everybody's favorite time of the meeting. The next regular meeting of the Board of Trustees is scheduled for Tuesday, December 17th, 2024, 4 p.m. Menifee Valley Campus Building 3000, room 3026 with live streaming, on YouTube. All right. This is an action item. I'll accept a motion at this time. No trustee wants to.
Move to adjourn.
Thank you, Trustee Corona. All right, thank you, Trustee Carpenter. Any discussion? There better not be. We're going to continue on to the student advisory vote.
Aye.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, stay here. We had 1 aye from the student advisory vote and 5 ayes from the Board of Trustees. This meeting is concluded at 7:26 p.m.